Hello, dear fellas. Welcome to Side Hustle. This is Fahad Khokhar. We have seen an era of Napoleon Hill. We have seen Dale Carnegie doing changing lives of many people, and we have seen Jim Rohn as well. But what about the millennials? Do we have any emerging names in this era? Yes, we do. Victor is among one of those. Some 10 years ago, he left his corporate job. He get into the world of internet business, and now he has managed to become a big name, and he is a health coach as well. And today we have the pleasure of delving deeper into the remarkable journey of Victor. So everybody, please welcome Victor. Victor, how are you?
I'm doing great, Fahad. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Thank you. Okay, Victor, let me know if you will have to introduce yourself in a nutshell. Who is Victor?
Well, I am a lifelong New Yorker. I love living in New York City. I worked in the corporate world for many years. I enjoyed most of the time I spent there, but the last several years I did not really enjoy it. It got a lot more cutthroat and just wasn't friendly and did not enjoy the atmosphere. And about 10 years ago, I left the corporate world, decided to become an internet entrepreneur, and I never looked back. And over the last several years, I've become a health coach as well. And I'm loving every minute of it.
Right. But Victor, there were so many other areas in the field of coaching. Why did you choose health specifically?
I've been interested in health for probably about almost 20 years ago. I started reading some books and articles about the fact a lot of people did not know about how a lot of people were getting sick. Chronic diseases have been skyrocketing. And there are a number of reasons for that. Number one, people are eating a lot of unhealthy foods. They're eating a lot of foods that are
Agree.
not organic, a lot of
Agree.
processed foods. They're over medicated, taking a lot of medications, and a lot of these medications do two things. Number one, they have a lot of bad side effects. And number two, they drain you of a lot of necessary nutrients. And and as a result of all these things, people are getting sicker, they're dying younger. And I wanted to educate people, help them learn that if they could change some of the things they're doing, they can have a healthier and longer life.
Right, right. But Victor, what was that eureka moment when you got to know that this is exactly what I need to do, and what I've been doing for so many years, this is not what I was made for, and this is exactly what I need to do. What was that moment in your life?
Well, again, I think it was a gradual moment. I guess, again, it started about 20 years ago. I started realizing that, but I think over the last 6, 7, 8 years, I started looking around me, family members, lots of my friends, they were getting very sick, developing all kinds of diseases, heart disease, cancer, so many diseases. They were dying at a younger age. I'm seeing people around me with diabetes, people that are very obese. And 50 years ago, this was not the case.
Right.
Something had changed. And I think is a big reason because a lot of people don't know the information out there. If they knew some of the things they could do to change their life, they can have a better and healthier life. I was just looking all around and I seen people that I care about were getting sick and suffering, and I wanted to do something about it and help them.
Right. But what do you feel are the factors which have caused this change in all these years? Is it the media that has changed the mind of people to start eating the shitty stuff, the junk food, or is it something else? What are those factors which are changing these trends?
No question, the media plays a big factor in it because you see all kinds of commercials and ads for sodas, all these sugary drinks and processed foods that have lots of sugar, but also a lot of government organizations are telling you to eat these vegetable and seed oils, which are actually not meant for consumption. They are poisons. And like canola oil was repurposed engine lubricant. Cottonseed oil was used for fertilizers and cleansing like 150 years ago. And the American Heart Association is telling people you take it because it can lower your cholesterol. What a lot of people don't know is that when the American Heart Association started out, they got a $1.8 million grant from Procter and Gamble, which makes Crisco oil. Now, that was over 70 years ago. Today, that's about a $20 million grant. And so companies like that give money to the American Heart Association, other organizations, you know, so, and as a result, there's a conflict of interest. They tell you these seed oil and vegetable oils are healthy. They are not. They're a poison. It's one of the reasons people are getting more obese. So, and you can find vegetable seed oils in so many foods. You go to the supermarket, the vast majority of these products will have, vegetable seed oils, as well as a lot of sugary products. So, and also in terms of medications, up until 1997 in America, these pharmaceutical companies were not allowed to advertise on TV. But then the law changed and they were allowed to. Now they are bombarding all the TV stations with commercials about taking all these medications. And they say, talk to your doctor about it. Guess what? These pharmaceutical companies give a lot of free samples to these doctors. So a lot of these doctors are prescribing these medications, pharmaceutical drugs. So a lot more people are taking because they're being bombarded with it. And a lot of these, again, a lot of these pharmaceutical medications, some of them have some really bad side effects. And if you're taking a whole bunch of them together, the side effects can multiply. And as I mentioned before, they drain you of a lot of nutrients like CoQ10 and magnesium. And some of them have fluoride, which is a poison. So a lot of people are not aware of many of the poisons that are in the food. And they're eating a lot of foods because they think it's healthy because they've been told that it's healthy, but it's actually doing harm to their body. So they're eating a lot more healthy foods, but they're piling up a lot more poison. And actually, people are exercising more. So it's not a lack of exercise, but exercise only plays a small part in keeping your weight on. It's very important for keeping you healthy. But if you want to lose weight, exercising is only 15 to 20% of the equation. 80% of the equation for keeping your weight down is diet.
Right. So people are actually have put their commercial benefits first, and they do not literally bother about the public health, right? But Victor, you've been in multiple countries, you travel a lot. Is it only the case in America, or is it the same in other parts of the world as well?
Well, recently, it was for up until recently, it's been mostly in the United States and also a lot of the Western European countries. So unfortunately, it's been skyrocketing in much of what is called the third world in the African, some of the Asian countries. Diabetes has been skyrocketing in China. It's been skyrocketing in India because because you know what? Because the companies over here that are making a lot of these poisonous products, they've plateaued. So they're not more people buying it. So they're looking to other countries to sell their products. So they're just selling a lot of these sugary and seed oil products. So a lot of what's called the third world country now, up until recently, they had low rates of diabetes and obesity, but these processed foods, guess what? Their rates of chronic illnesses have skyrocketed over the last 20, 30 years. And there are a lot of these what are called primitive civilizations that do not have access to these processed foods. Their rates of chronic illnesses was very, very small. Their rates of heart disease was very low. Their rates of cancer was low. But once they get exposed to what's called the Western diet, or from American parts of Western Europe, their rates of chronic illnesses have skyrocketed ever since. Now, I would tell you, in Western Europe, it's not as bad because there's certain products that are in American products that when they sell them in Europe, they're banned. So a lot of Americans do not know that. So the same products, say certain cereals, you sell them in France or Spain. Some of the products that are in there are not allowed in those countries. And many of those countries also do not allow fluoride in their water, which is not the case in the US. Most states allow fluoride in the water, which is a poison. Although there are some cities that are banned it. But so there are some differences. So there's a reason why the people in West Europe live a few years longer than the people in America because they're exposed to fewer poisons.
Right. Actually, all these fast foods, all this junk and this, all that shitty stuff, it's extremely tasty, actually, to tell you the truth. And it gives oneself an instant gratification. And here in our part of the world, you see people have banned products like, not officially banned, but people have stopped using it, the McDonald's, the KFC, because of the some political reasons as well, if you know what I mean, because of the Palestinian issue that we are facing these days. But people have actually created the alternatives of KFC and McDonald's in our part of the world. I'm in Pakistan and in India as well. People have literally made the local versions of fries, the local version of zingers. So this problem is actually not deep rooted within the DNA of people. Even if we stop all these multinationals from making all these things that are causing diabetes and cancer. Uh, this problem cannot be solved easily. So if we just talk about what are the alternatives that we have if we avoid all these foods and we get to something organic, what alternatives do we have, Victor?
Well, again, people number one needs to be educated because this is the thing. If the people learn about it, and more people I think are learning about the fact these foods are very toxic, but they need to number one stop going to these places and eating it. If the the McDonald's or the KFCs or the alternatives like you have there in Pakistan, if they don't have people come in, they're going to have to change the way they make their foods. So people, they pay attention to how people spend their money. So they're not spending money on it, they'll stop. But there's a problem, like in the United States and in much of the Western world, a lot of these processed sugary junk foods are in the products that are cheapest. So people that don't have a lot of money, the very poor people, that's all they can afford to buy. So they got to find a way to make the healthier foods less expensive, or maybe give them coupons or vouchers so they can afford some of the healthier foods. So they got to find a way around it. Unfortunately, much of the cheap food is very, very toxic. And you're right, it's very addictive. They've done studies like for in rats, for example, sugar is just as addictive as cocaine. Like I said, it gives you that instant gratification, it feels
White
really good.
poison.
I mean, I love sugar. I have a sweet too. I love sweets, but over the last number of years, I've limited the amount of sweets. I don't eat a lot of dessert, even though I love dessert, but I know eating a lot of dessert is not good for me. So I limit the amount of sweets. That doesn't mean you can never have sweets, doesn't mean you can have some ice cream or cake, but I say do it every once in a while. Doesn't mean it. I'm not one of those people that say you should never have foods that make you feel good that may not be healthy for you. But if you limit it, it's fine. But if you eat them consistent, basic issues. The other thing I would recommend also is if you are having a healthy diet, the problem is the vegetables, the fruits don't have the nutrition they had, say, 100 years ago. In the United States, there was a document that came out in 1936 in the Senate saying that the soil was depleted of nutrients. And that was almost 90 years ago. It's gotten a lot worse. So if you eat all the fresh and organic foods that that are not very little processed, unfortunately, they don't have the nutrients that they have. So you will not get all that you need from eating a healthy diet. It helps. It definitely helps. But you're going to have to supplement. Because if you just go with solely a healthy diet, you're still going to be nutrient deficient. And that can also lead to health issues.
Right. So, Victor, how you are going to help people in dealing with this problem? Because sorry to say, writing a book is not going to solve this problem because an average American doesn't read even one book in a year, as I have seen the stats. So, how you are going to spread the awareness? Are you going to sell them some diet plans, some consultancy, or how? What is the solution in your capacity? What is?
Well, like you said, one of the reasons I am on the show today is to get the word out. So you do videos, you go on interviews. And the book helps, like you said, not everyone's going to read the book. There are plenty of people that don't. So there are a lot of ways to do it. You got to get the word. You could do podcast episodes, you could send out emails. I do that too. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I coach people. So people work with me, I coach them to better health. So I get the word on. There's a lot of other coaches that are out there trying to spread the word and help people out. All you can do is get the word out. So you can't force them. All you can do is share the information with them. If they don't want to do anything with their lives, it's really up to them. So all we can do is spread the message, share with other people. I see a lot of other people as well. I see them on YouTube and other channels doing interviews, doing podcasts of them, just sharing the information. And there are going to be some people, you never know, there might be someone who comes across that video, looks at it, and says, let me take a look at it. And then here's some certain information that could change life. You have no idea whose life you may change. Even if you only get 10 people watching the video, but if it could change the life of 2 people who watch it, it's worth it.
Right. Even if one person keeps oneself from having sugar or these useless foods which have no nutritional value, I think our purpose is done. So a person who has not read your book, you can become happy, healthy, and whole. What is in that?
What's about the book? Again,
Yeah.
I want to share the information is how people number one can be healthy. A lot of people do not know the right thing. Some people do, but they have certain mind blocks in there. There's something in their subconscious mind that self-sabotages them. So That's another reason why some people don't take the effort to become healthy. They know you have to eat better, you have to exercise more, avoid the junk food, but they self-sabotage themselves. But I also believe that, I'm a holistic health coach. I look at everything as a whole. Like a lot of doctors, they'll focus on one part of the body, maybe the heart or the kidney or the liver. But you gotta look at the entire person. That's one thing a lot like Eastern medicine does. It looks at the whole person. You gotta look at them mentally, physically, psychologically, spiritually. All that works together to make you happy, healthy, and whole. You gotta look at the whole person. There are a lot of things people can do to make themselves happy. I think spending a lot of time in nature. I think praying helps a lot. Being around people that are happy, that are positive, that'll change the way you look at things. Laughing a lot, watching funny shows, watching funny movies. The more you laugh, the happier you are. Think about children. Children laugh a lot more than adults do. So you get kids laugh up to 400 times a day. The average adult may laugh 15 times a day. Most kids, when they're 7, 8 years old, they tend to be happier than when they're 35 years old because they're laughing a lot more. So I also talk about the need just to be happy. And of course, I talk about the need to eat good quality foods, supplementing, exercising. All those things make a difference. Avoiding the junk and toxic foods, trying to get yourself off medication if possible. I also recommend do it gradually and with that, do it with working with your doctor, because a lot of times you want to get off medications as you're eating better and taking supplements. He has to wean you off it. I would not say do it cold turkey. Work together with your doctor to eventually get yourself off of some of these medications. So
Right.
because people find when they get off medications, a lot of the side effects they don't have anymore. So they don't have uh, they don't have these pains. They don't have all kinds of headaches and stuff like that. So they don't vomit or get diarrhea or constipation. There's a lot of different side effects, and they find when they start getting off these medications, they start feeling better. So and for those who don't take medications, I think if you follow what we teach you, it can help prevent you from having to go on these medications. So you really do not want to avoid being on medication. Think of it this way. I never met a person who says, I'm on 8 different medications and I feel great.
Right. So, Victor, you just mentioned about the supplement. Do you think it's a good practice to take supplements? And if yes, what would be the good age to start taking all these supplements?
I don't think you could ever be too young to start taking supplements. And the reason being is you can't get it all from food. So you definitely should start selling. But I also recommend get a good quality, some like a good multivitamin. Because here's the thing, a lot of the multivitamins out there are very poor quality. Like like in the United States, don't go to a national chain like drugstores, say like Walgreens and CVS, because their quality of multivitamins not that good. They're not highly absorbable, maybe 8 to 15 to 20%. So if you're getting something that's not highly absorbable, you're basically wasting your money. Like, do your research, find a good quality multivitamin. I mean, there are other things I recommend, but start with the multivitamin. Get a good quality multivitamin that's highly absorbable. Remember, it's not what you take; it's what you absorb. So if
Exactly.
you're absorbing a lot more, if it's like 80 to 90, 95%, you're gonna get a lot more of the benefits. Again, start out with a good diet. It all starts with a good diet, because if you take good quality supplements, but you eat a terrible diet, you will still have you will still have health issues. So start with a good diet, but also supplement. And you can be 7, 8 years old and start supplementing. I think it's one of the best things you can do for your children.
Okay. Victor, what are some myths that people have associated in the context of their health? But one specific myth, I don't know if it is a myth, if it is true. Does taking too much sugar causes diabetes? I would want a specific answer to that myth as well, if this is a myth, quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah, too much sugar is linked to diabetes. It really is. I would definitely say limit the sugar. You need a little bit of glucose for your blood, your cells, but it's maybe a teaspoon a day. Most people take a lot more than that. The average American takes about 150, eats about 150 pounds of sugar a year.
A year.
So that's one of the problems. So glucose bad. The sugar that's really bad is fructose, and one of the
That is
reasons it's
almost
really
half pound per day. That if that is the case, provided that
yeah
365 days a year, it should be
yeah
350 to 400 around.
yeah
OMG,
150
that's too much.
150 yeah 150 pounds a year, almost, yeah, like you said, it's close to almost half a pound a day, and that's a lot higher than it was, say, in 1900. So the rates of sugar usage has skyrocketed over the last 100 150 years. the rate of seed oil consumption is totally skyrocketed. So sugar is definitely bad, and fructose is extremely bad. At least with glucose, it could be metabolized by many of the organs in your body. Fructose can only be metabolized by your liver, and the liver is the detoxifying organ. But if you eat a lot of fructose, it can overwhelm your liver, and that's the problem. We're taking so many toxins that the liver is overwhelmed. It can't handle all that, and then it leads to all kinds of health issues. So it definitely you want to limit your sugars, and you also want to limit the cereals. It definitely leads to insulin resistance. Both of them actually lead to insulin resistance, sugars and seed oils.
Right. And what are the other myths? This was related to sugar.
Oh, yeah, one of the other health myths people say is like limit your salt intake. That's actually very terrible advice. You need salt. Your cells need salt. You need salt to help create the stomach acid in your body. And stomach acid is important for digesting your food, for digesting the nutrients. If you're low in stomach acids, you won't be able to digest the nutrients. So you won't get the health benefits of consuming food. And also, you need the stomach acid because it clears away the bad bacteria and the pathogens that can cause these various diseases. And again, you need salt to help create that stomach acid. So salt's a very important nutrient. And it does not lead to insulin resistance. It does not lead to blood pressure. Actually, the development that leads to it is actually the sugars and the seed oil. So that's because for many centuries, like many countries had high levels of salt intake, but they had low levels of cardiovascular disease. And if you look at countries like, say, Japan and North and South Korea and France, they have some of the lowest rates of cardiovascular disease and heart attack deaths, yet they're among the highest consumers of salt. And also, salt is important for reproduction. So they've done studies in civilizations as well as animals. When they have low levels of salt intake, their fertility and reproduction go down. So salt has very little to do with high blood pressure. It's really the sugar and the triglycerides. So another thing is they say eggs are bad. Eggs are some of the healthiest foods out there. Has a lot of nutrition. The only thing probably with more nutrients is human mother's breast milk. But people who have been told for 56 years it's got too much cholesterol. The cholesterol is actually, and we'll get to cholesterol in a second. It doesn't really change the dietary blood cholesterol level in your body anyway. So the 80% of the cholesterol is actually made by the liver. So the more cholesterol you eat, actually the liver tends to compensate by making less. So eggs are very important. They don't cause heart attacks or anything, which now takes us to cholesterol. People have been saying cholesterol is bad, and it's been going on for probably 70 years. Something started with this Dr. Ansel Keys, who said saturated fat and cholesterol were like the demons that cause all kinds of health problems. They don't. Saturated fats actually have a lot of health benefits. And actually, it's not the fat that makes you fat. It is the carbohydrates and the seed oils. So those are things that make you obese. Cholesterol actually is extremely important. A big chunk of your brain is made of cholesterol. So over the last 56 years, if people have been giving these cholesterol lowering drugs such as statins, there's been a simultaneous increase in dementia and Alzheimer's disease. You need the cholesterol. You need it to make the bile. Cholesterol is needed to make vitamin D. Cholesterol is needed to make the sex organs, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Without cholesterol, there will be no human race. So cholesterol has a lot of great benefits. You want cholesterol. So it's been demonized as something that's really bad. Now, even the so-called bad cholesterol, which is the LDL cholesterol, there's actually two types. There's one that's small and dense, and if that gets into your arteries, it can clog it. That is actually caused by oxidation. It's caused by lots of sugars and cereal. There's another type of LDL, which is big and fluffy. That's totally harmless. It does no damage to your health. And LDL cholesterol is actually not cholesterol. It's a lipoprotein that carries the cholesterol. So people need to understand that. The big problem is not the cholesterol, it's the triglycerides. And when your triglycerides are elevated, that's where the problems arise. So those are some of the myths that, salt is good, eggs are good, cholesterol is not bad. And another one is people have been told to eat more carbs and less fat. There's a lot of good fats out there, like butter and cheese. So they've been demonized fats. Fats do not make you fat. They don't cause the health issues that people. There are some bad fats. Obviously, trans fats are really bad, and they come from we hydrogenated oils and stuff like that. So, and when you, a lot of these seed oils, when you oxidize, they convert into trans fat. Those are the bad fats, but fat in general, they don't make you fat. All you need to do is, if you look at a carnivore like a lion, you have never seen an obese lion.
Right.
Carnivores do not tend to be overweight or obese. But if you look at some of the herbivores, like a rhinoceros, you've never seen a skinny rhinoceros. And when farmers, when they want to make the animals fat, they give them carbs. They give them like grains and corn seed. They don't give them meat to eat. And in fact, when a lion eats an animal, when he goes to kill and eat, he doesn't go after the lean meat. He goes after the fat, the organs, and the fatty meat. So that's what the lion goes after, and he still doesn't put on weight. So, and I would recommend we should don't worry about don't worry about organ meats have a lot of great nutrients as well, which is what a lot of our ancestors ate, when they were hunting for animals, they ate a lot of the organ meats because they had a lot of nutrition. So I highly recommend organ meats as well. So those are some of the myths that we've been exposed to that cost people a lot of health because people eating a lot of high carbs, they're eating a lot of seed oils, they're eliminating their fats. And the problem is a lot of these foods that became low fat, they didn't have the taste, so they replaced them what? They replaced them with a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sweets, a lot of sugars, and in many cases, a lot of vegetable and seed oils. And as a result of the last 50 years, we've seen a huge increase in chronic illnesses because of a lot of these myths.
Right, right. So, a person suffering from the problem of blood pressure, high blood pressure, he or she should not abstain from salt and the oil intake. Uh, they are fine with that, right?
They don't recommend it. They don't think it's a problem, but I recommend. I think sugars and sugar I think are big causes, and I'd say you definitely should limit that. And I'd say don't worry about salt. You should take your regular amount of salt. And salt also helps with dehydration. When you get sick, you get the flu, something like that. They tell you to take something like Pedialyte, which has a lot of these electrolyte salts, because you lose a lot of these salts when you get sick, and when you work out, you lose a lot of salt. So actually, after a good workout, I recommend taking salts too.
But
So,
but
and
absolutely.
also, I just want to say one thing in terms of blood pressure. Two minerals that help with blood pressure a lot are magnesium and potassium. So usually a lot of people are deficient in those two minerals, particularly magnesium, which is probably the most important mineral. Magnesium is great for blood pressure.
Right. But I have heard that whenever you take too much salt, it accumulates fats. For example, I have these cheeks, and some people say that this is caused because of salt intaking. And when the bodybuilders, when they want to make the six packs, when they want to make all those bodybuilders, they always leave intaking salt because that accumulates fat. Uh, is that correct?
That is not correct. In fact, they should be taking salt after a workout. They're doing themselves. Salt intake is causing a lot of issues with muscle guys who want to build muscle and bodybuilding and lift weight. They should be taking more salt. They're actually causing themselves down. If you lose salt after a workout, it is more. Salt is accumulated. Your kidney has an incredible ability to excrete a lot more salt than you actually take in. But this is myth. And it often but what happens when you take too little salt, sometimes your body tries to hoard it in because it's trying to keep the salt, and that can lead to certain issues. The health issues usually arise from not having enough salt. But your kidney, when it's healthy, has an incredible amount to excrete up to, I think, 70 to 80 times the amount of salt it's actually consumed during the day. The problem is not too much salt. But sometimes if you have insulin resistance to too much sugar, you may keep a little extra salt in the kidney, but it's not from too much salt, it's because of the insulin resistance, which is caused by the sugar in seed oils. So again, it's almost never too much sugar. In fact, most people should be taking more sugar, which is why the countries that have the highest salt intake tend to live longer, like Japan and I think Latvia. People in Latvia take half the amount of sugar than half the amount of salt that people in Japan do. But the death rates from cardiovascular disease, I think, is 10 times as great in Latvia as it is in Japan. It has very little to do with cardiovascular disease. And although the studies show that too little salt intake tends to increase the heart rate, which can lead to a whole bunch of health issues as well. So again, look, in many of the countries with the highest longevity rates consume lots of salt. Salt's a very important nutrient.
Okay. in in self-development, Jim Rohn used to say that there are three type of people who should do something, could do something, they don't do something. So how to get people moving? That's the question. Everybody says that you should be doing exercise. You could do exercise, but they don't do exercise. How to get people on the move? How to motivate oneself to do exercise? If you take me as a case study, I do not move much. Being a freelance copywriter, that's my forte. I work from home, and most of the time I'm on my office, on my desk, and I do not move much. How would you motivate me to do exercise?
Well, here's the thing. It's got to be a priority for you. The thing is, do you value your health? Is it important for you? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to live longer? It's a should. It has to become a must. There was a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller that came out a number of years ago. And he's like, people used to have, the word priority used to be singular, used to be the one priority. Now people have like 7 or 8 priorities, but exercising, long health has to become a priority. If something's a priority for you, you will make time for it. So think about it. Anything that's important to you, no matter how busy your schedule is, you'll find some time for it, even if it's 15, 20 minutes a day. I find time to exercise every single day. At the very least, even have time to walk. And walking, I think, some of the best exercise you could do. I ride my stationary bike on the average about 40 to 45 minutes a day. I find time. And while I'm doing that, you know what? I'm reading books. I'm reading several different books over there. I'll read a few pages of this book, from that book. So I'm also making a productive use of my time because it's become important to me. I know it's an important part for my health. So whatever it is, eating better quality food, supplementing, whatever, you guys ask yourself, is this important to me? And if you're not doing it, you got to question yourself to it because it's saying, if you meet someone, your wife, your spouse, your children, like, are they important for me? And no matter how busy your schedule is, like if you have children, are they important for you? If they are, you'll find time to spend with them, no matter how busy your schedule is, because they are a priority for you. So anything that's important, you got to ask yourself, can I find the time to do it? So if the question you need to ask is exercising a priority for me? And for some people, it's not. They say it's like people want to be successful, but for them, it's something nice to have. But then when you tell them the things they need to do, the sacrifice they have to make, putting the time and the effort to do things, and being patient, because sometimes being successful, it could take a while. It could take 6 months. It could take a year or two. For most people, especially when being entrepreneurs, it doesn't happen overnight. And for most people, it's a nice thing to do, but it's not something they want to make the sacrifices for. So all you can do is tell them the benefits and tell them what can happen if they don't do it. And then they got to make the final choice. Everyone has free will. So all you can do is give them the information, educate them, but you can't force them to take the action. It's really up to
Yeah,
them.
exactly. Definitely. You see, there are some people who are fitness enthusiasts. They do workout 7 days a week and they never take rest. So here is the question. How do you think us making or breaking a sleeping pattern affects one's health? Is it important to sleep 8 hours a day? And I have heard some people saying that 4 hours of sleep is enough. So what is the optimum time and how does it affect one's health? Can it make me obese and can having good sleep help me reduce weight as well? Over to you.
Well, it's interesting you asked that because they've done studies that people don't get enough sleep, less than 6 hours a day a night. They actually tend to eat more because it increases this hormone, which is called ghrelin, which makes you feel hungry, and decreases this other hormone called leptin, which actually makes you feel more full and satisfied. So people who tend to sleep less tend to wind up eating more, and they tend to become more overweight and more obese. So it definitely affects your weight. Uh, and it also affects so many other things. When you get enough sleep, there's certain toxic proteins that build up in your brain that it gets rid of when you sleep more. So I recommend 7. I recommend 8, but I try to get at least 7. Also, it leads to a lot of chronic health conditions because your body is restoring itself while you sleep. So if you're not getting enough sleep, it's going to have a big effect on your health. And they've done studies on this. People who tend to sleep less tend to suffer from more illnesses. So it affects your immune system. And people, and especially here in America, in the corporate culture, they tend to work people who don't sleep a lot, get into work early, work late, because they think those are the people that are the most productive and get the most done to make the fewest mistakes. They've actually done studies that where people actually get more sleep, get more done, they're more productive, they make fewer mistakes, then people at work will get less sleep. So if you want to be a better worker, you should get more sleep. 8 hours perfectly, but at least get 7. Also, they've done studies, several cities here in the United States, where students, when they, high school students, 16 to 18 years old, when they had to go to school at 7:30 in the morning, they were involved in a lot more accidents. But when they pushed back the starting time of the school to say 8:15 or 8:30, the rate of accidents decreased because these students were getting more sleep. So when you get more sleep, you also drive better and get into fewer accidents. Studies have shown that. But there are a lot of benefits to getting more sleep. And it helps with growth too. So you want your children to get more sleep. I think young kids are supposed to get 11, 12 hours sleep. Teenagers like 9 to 10. So, but the younger they are, they need more sleep. But even teenagers need to get more sleep than adults. So, because it really helps them with their growth.
Right. So
And
with,
also they do better in school the more
yeah,
sleep they get. So
exactly.
they've done twins.
Exactly.
One twin got a lot less sleep, the other one got a lot more sleep, and the twin that got more sleep, the study showed would do better in school.
Yeah, couldn't agree more on this. We are heading towards the conclusion of this episode now, Victor. Let's do the time travel. What Victor Dedaj would be doing in 2035?
Well, I still hope to be health coach and helping people out, but hopefully by then I will have helped many, many, many more thousands and thousands of people live a happier, healthier lifestyle. And just to have a lot of people say, because of the all the information you've told me, all the things you shared with me, I'm much healthier. I've got fewer, most of my chronic illnesses have gone. I'm walking better, I'm moving better. My family is healthier. So if I can get a lot more people tell me that, I'm gonna feel so great and so happy because I really want to make the difference in people's lives because I want to see people happier, healthier, and whole.
Right, great. So I will get back to you after 10 years to see how much you have done.
Sounds good, my friend.
Right, right. So Victor, how people can approach you, where they can find you on the internet if somebody want to get benefit from you, how they can do
Sure,
it.
sure. Auntie, they can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. Victor Dedaj. My last name is Dedaj. They can also email me at victordedaj@victordedaj.com. They can go to my website, victordedaj.com. And if you want a free health evaluation, you can go to yourfreehealthevaluation.com.
Right. So Victor, whoever who is stuck in his or her life, not only in the context of health issues, but in relationship or career, a person who is stuck, who is not finding a way to go, what would be your final advice to one such person? I would need one final nugget of awesomeness from your side on this one.
I would say the one more thing is work on your subconscious mind because 95% of the decisions you make are done by the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind, which is contrary to what most people think. And unfortunately, much of what has been taught in our subconscious mind is very negative. So, number one, you have to surround yourself with positive people. Limit yourself to negative people. Don't watch the news in the morning because it's very negative. And the most impressionable time for your subconscious mind is the first hour of the day and the last hour before you go to sleep. So
Right.
during those two critical hours, bombard your subconscious mind with powerful, positive, motivational stuff, whether it's reading a good book, listening to motivational videos, praying, or just talking to a friend who's positive. I write down affirmations, go positive stuff. I write it every morning and I go over it. So you might want to do it as well. Focus on gratitude in the morning. When you're grateful, you focus, you can't be grateful and angry and frustrated at the same time. So you focus on gratitude, that's going to make a big difference. I think you do those things all the time, but especially during the first hour and the last hour of each day, it's going to change your subconscious mind. And one other thing that people should also do, we self-sabotage by saying a lot of negative self-talk. And we say a lot of negative things in our self-talk that messes us up, that sabotages us. And I'm going to recommend a book before we go. It's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Dr. Shad Thompson. It changed my life. It made me realize how much I was sabotaging myself with negative self-talk. So it made me be more careful what I say to myself. You got to be very careful what you say to yourself. Make sure you're saying nice, positive things to
Right.
yourself. And over time, you're going to see a difference in how you feel about yourself.
Right. What a beautiful message. It's all about controlling one's subconscious and controlling one's pattern as well. The more you will start associating the pain with the things that you hate, and more love and positive stuff with the positive results, then nothing will taste as good as the feeling of being thin. With that said, do take good care of yourself. Victor, thank you so much for being on the show. It was pleasure.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being on. Have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank you.